game number 2 on Frost between SaSe and Bomber. I hope everything is fine. Should I lower the game sounds a little bit, by the way, Johan, or is it all good?
I couldn't check on the sound. Ask in the chat, they can tell you.
Yeah, but I have enough things open. I have the Google Hangout thing open. I have sorry, not Ops, but XSplit open, so I cannot actually read chat, which makes me sad because I love reading chat. Because in general, my chat is very friendly. Today is probably going to be an insane amount of trolls, so I'm going to avoid chat at all costs.
I think they're doing well so far. From what
Roddy,
I've seen.
shut up or riot. Raise your donuts and stuff like that. It's going to happen, man. Today it's going to be on the discovered that I am the NESL Sun guy. I have to change one thing, Johan, so why don't you go ahead and introduce our players?
Alright, in the top right hand side he took the first map. He's sponsored by Red Bull. We have Bomber. And his opponent in the top left hand side, he plays for Fnatic. He's the exiled foreigner. He meditates under his cascades. Over in Taiwan we have SaSe. SaSe in the first game he tried something that's his own style. He likes to do that a lot. He's always had his own build orders that he really likes to stick with. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something that's very basically proper to him, in the way that he's one of the only guys that does that build in the second game. In Wings of Liberty he used to be a guy who liked to take 2 Colossus, 2 Storms very quickly on 2 bases and then secure himself a 3rd base. Very often go for double forge as well. And if you give him enough air or enough space to do what he wants, he's gonna be very hard. He's gonna run you over. But Bomber is definitely not the guy that's ever gonna allow somebody to do this.
Both players opening up rather economically, as SaSe went for a 15 gate and pylon gas, so that's indeed a little unique, not something I see all that often, while Bomber on the other side of the map decided to go for command center first. You were talking a little bit about SaSe's PvT style. Whenever I think of SaSe and PvT, I always think of this one game I casted of him, which I think was in Home Story Cup 3, where he played against Jinro. And he played a game on Shakura's Plateau, and he just made like 1 Colossus, but then he actually didn't commit to Colossus and didn't research Snowlands and went into Quickstorm. And that was like the sickest mind game proto string. It was like, oh my god, that's so good. And then I tried it for like the next 5 months, and at a certain point I realized that, some Terrans, they actually understand that if you only see 1 Colossus 45 minutes, that it's not that good. I will never forget that game.
Alright, when they attack, you end up not having thermal lance, and then you overestimate the strength of your army. The Colossus gets in there and tries to do some body work on the Marines and Marauders.
Colossus is like, fist fight, let's go. It's like, no, go back.
Alright, SaSe, he did go for the second gas very early on here again. He's gonna get a Stalker first. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Mothership Core following this. Well, what do you think we see here out of SaSe? Again, some kind of 3-gate pressure, or does he play completely differently?
I think he's going to play very different. I think he's going to play more passive, probably just be like, hey, if you're opening up with 3 Rexes, you're kind of committing to this aggression. I'm just going to sit back for a little while and see how it goes. I think we're going to see a quick robo, so maybe get some more scouting information when the observer's out. And I would like to see SaSe just play a long, straight-up game, because I know that he's capable of it. He's shown us in the past that he's an excellent player. So I don't think there's need for him to get that aggressive. But in the end of the day, if you open up with so many gateway units and you don't do anything, you're kind of behind, let's face it.
Yeah. And Bomber in the second game, he's not playing greedy at all, by the way. After his command center, he got 3 barracks. He's making a lot of Marines right now, and he didn't take a single gas yet. He's gonna take the first one now. Okay, he's gonna take 2 gases. But he's making a lot of Marines. Maybe the fact that SaSe was gonna try for a big gateway pressure in the previous game has got him worried a little bit. And that's why he's he's playing it so safe, basically. Getting a bunker early on, making sure he doesn't die to any kind of big gateway attack.
And this really makes me wonder as well, Jan, because yesterday we saw him against Jim also go for a 3x opening, and in game number 1 we saw him go for a 3x opening, even though it's a little different this time because he went command center first. But still, I really wonder why he's doing it, and I think just maybe he found himself struggling a little bit in this matchup, and he's just like, hey, I'm just going to play a little different again. 3x is going to throw all the timings that Protoss is currently aware of completely off, because I'm going to have way more units in a certain phase in the game, but a little later I'm going to be a little weaker because my metafacts are not out yet, so all the timings are different, and hopefully he can capitalize on some of the greed that Protoss players are showing these days.
Actually, it's a very good point that you raised, because Bomber very often does that, and I think one of the other reasons why he does it is because he has some of the best unit management that there is out there with units early on. I mean, without medivacs. He has great unit movement. You're never going to see Bomber run into like a ramp with a lot of Marines, get force fielded, and lose everything for free. He knows what a Protoss can have at a certain time. He knows a lot of timings of Protoss, and he's always going to be very careful not to suicide those units uselessly, and that's what makes him such a good player too. I remember playing him back in the days on Antigua Shipyard and all that. He was always the guy pressuring with very, very few units, microing very well, macroing well at the same time, and always knowing when to attack and when not to. And for him, when to attack is usually all the time.
Bomber throws on a scan in the main base of SaSe, and he actually doesn't really see all that much. He sees a bunch of additional gateways go down, but that's about it. At the same time, my mouse scroll wheel do stop working, so that's a little unpleasant. I hope that will be fixed in the next game.
He actually missed the Robo and the Robo base, so right now what he's seeing is 2 additional gateways. I think the timing is too late for him to assume this could be some kind of 5 or 6 or maybe even 8 gateways. So he's gonna realize maybe this is some kind of Templar with Charge Lot play, Charge Lot Archon Templar, but you should be seeing very quickly as soon as he starts being aggressive that it's actually gonna be Colossus.
One Colossus is already out, I believe. No, actually, first Colossus is on the way. Turbulence is being researched. I was messing around a little with my mouse scroll wheel because observing without a mouse scroll wheel, I will never be able to follow the legendary footsteps of Adebisi and Funkadelic. But right now, I still believe there is hope for me. You know that this is going to be my next career. You know that, right?
You know, by the way, we're going to the Intel Extreme Masters next weekend. For the people who don't know, we're gonna do some observing ourselves there because we do not have a dedicated observer.
Sick city. This is my stage.
This is your shot.
This is my shot to glory, bro. This is where I will at least guarantee myself of another 5 years in esports. Because after I'm all done and washed up as a commentator, I'm gonna be the best observer in the world. This is.
Or maybe it's gonna be the end of your career as observer. Nobody will ever let you observe ever. You're forbidden from observing.
You know, like all commentators are probably hoping that they will cast a final of that tournament. Not me, Johan. I just want to observe. Alright, focusing on those 2 medevacs on the north side of the map. Most of SaSe's units are a little bit out of position, but he's already sending a few units as well. Did he see it? He will see it right now with his observer, so that's a very important little scout for SaSe.
I'm curious, what time are you in the game?
10:45.
Oh, okay, yeah, about the same as me. I was a little bit afraid we desync a little bit. And another scan was used in the main of SaSe. It spotted 2 of the Colossus. It spotted the Robo still producing something. So I think right now Bomber, he knows exactly where he's at. He knows that there's a bunch of Colossi out on the map. Ooh, he's trying for some drop here. He has to be careful. Blink is actually almost completed. The Mothership Core staying between the main and natural, ready to photon overcharge. And SaSe, he knows about that 3rd base. He could go for a timing and leave enough units for himself at home to help and defend.
To be honest, normally this is a really good scenario for a Protoss player. If this wasn't SaSe versus Bomber, then you would say like, hey, this is looking really good for the Protoss. He's up 12 workers. 3rd base timings are about the same. I believe he has +1 armor, +1 attack is on the way. Bomber doesn't have massive upgrades either. So if SaSe doesn't lose this Nexus right now, which he really shouldn't, even though there are medevacs on the north side of the map as well, forward blink goes down, he starts working on the medevac. SaSe move commanding a little bit, but in the end he does clean up everything. That was good.
Yeah, Bomber's micro was still pretty good here given the circumstances. Oh, one of those medevacs is gonna die here, but he sniped a few of those stalkers and he's gonna drop in the main. Now there's nothing there except the Mothership Core, which is gonna photon overcharge. SaSe is handling this pretty well and he's catching up on supply now. He has charge on the way. He's getting +1 attack upgrade. He's already got the armor upgrade. And Bomber behind is, he already made an armory, but I think he has only 1 engineering base. So he could only make +2 attack if he wants to. He couldn't make 2 armor.
I mean, Bomber's macro is going to be explode right now. He's going to have a ridiculous amount of units. We can take a look at army supply as well. 63 against 101. SaSe goes for a blink as he wants to take control of this Alnaga Watchtower. That's not going to work. This is probably the scariest phase in the game, Ben, and I wouldn't even be surprised to see Bomber pull some SCVs. Yep, there we go. Once more SCV train in the middle of the map.
Yeah, he knows that pre-storm timing here is going to be very, very strong. And look at the Templar Archives. It's not finished. SaSe is adding extra gateways, which he would need to already be finished to have a chance, a better chance at holding this. He's going to need some very good force fields here and some nice target fire on those Vikings. He blinks forward! Those
Yeah,
stalkers
but
are gonna get
already
sniped.
losing a few of the stalkers, and he had so little stalkers to keep his Colossus alive as well. On the ground, he's sort of doing okay, but right now these Colossus are just kind of sitting ducks for these Vikings, and everything is dying in the front as well. I think Bomber is going to be able to battle through, even though this one Zealot is buying time like a champ, but all Colossus are going down. So right now, no Colossi, no Storm. That's
He
bad.
underestimated his timing quite a lot here. He didn't have photon overcharge, so maybe he thought he had to engage like the way he did. But if he had waited just a little bit more, got 2 Archons and more Zealots, he would have had a much better chance at holding this. Now Bomber, this was a dream scenario for him. The Protoss attacked into him.
Yep.
He was the one planning to
Oh,
attack and possibly fighting in an unfavorable position. But now SaSe literally attacked into him, so Bomber, it looks like, might be able to secure himself the 2-0 win here. 65 power-ups to 44 SCVs, but in army supply, 83 to 43. 40 army supply ahead, and Bomber is looking to finish the game now with some nice stutter step. He still has the Vikings not landed.
yeah, most of those Vikings take a lot of damage. You always have to be careful as a Terran that you don't throw away your Vikings too carelessly, because before you know it, there is suddenly a Colossus or there is another one. And then you wish that you still had those Vikings alive. But Bomber indeed still with a massive army supply lead. He's gonna steam up this ramp. Good force fields there by SaSe. Man, that was nice.
Actually, the view is slipping away here a little bit. Oh, nice. If SaSe is able to hold here, maybe he could stabilize. But with no storm on the way. Actually, look at SaSe's gas. If he makes a lot of Archons here,
Yeah.
might be able to pull some kind of comeback. I think that would be his only chance. But right now, Bomber is still on 3 bases. Look at those mules, man, on the natural.
I don't want to look at it, John. It hurts.
Over 2,000 income for Bomber here for a moment. He's starting +3 attacks upgrade immediately. SaSe goes into Storm. He tries and retake a 3rd base. He's actually morphing a lot of those Templars into Archons here. He knows he's going to be under pressure very, very soon. He knows Bomber is relentless with those attacks. 2 of those Templars are going to have enough energy for Storm soon, but Storm is not nearing completion.
This is starting to look like there's a little bit of hope for SaSe. These Archons are just doing a really good job in absorbing some of that focused fire. One stim runs out, so this army is already damaged a little bit, especially if Bomber decides to stim once more. SaSe, how many storms will you have once Storm finishes up? He has 2 High Templars, he's hiding them as well. SaSe knows, Johan, he just needs roughly 20 seconds to survive, and then he suddenly has a chance again. As we all know, Storm good unit.
Yeah, when behind, make Storm.
Because
Cascade it.
unless you're Arthur, when behind, force the guy out of his base. I guess he didn't see those.
Oh, one of the Templars is gonna fall. SaSe, you should have been more careful with this. And Storm is finished. He has 1 Templar ready to Storm, but I mean, there's so much army supply here by Bomber. He's now getting Ghosts, and there's no Colossus production happening for SaSe here. He's not.
Okay, Bomber's gonna pick up a lot of units. He's gonna send most of those units to the main base. And I think his observer was a little bit late to the party, Johan. SaSe has absolutely nothing in his main, and this could hurt a lot.
It is gonna hurt a lot. Bomber, in the meantime, he's got a 2nd engineering bay. He's still got his upgrades going. SaSe is gonna be stuck on 2-1. He's sending everything in the main. He spotted that drop with one of his observer, but a lot of these Zealots are gonna die immediately, and I'm expecting Bomber to go for the 3rd base at the same time.
He's doing that a little late, but he might still be able to get there in time, I'm not sure. He's going to throw down a scan, and he's going to be like, oh, well, that's almost in time. Do they have Storm? Yes, they do have Storm. 1 High Templar is going to get picked up, though, but not before dropping a 2nd Storm. Either way, well done by SaSe. The only bad thing is, Johan, he has so little Stalkers that he can't actually ever kill these Medivacks that are active in his main.
Yeah, he needs to get at least a few of them. Oh, great position here by Bomber. Only 2 Zealots are fighting at the same time.
Yeah, this
SaSe
is gonna
was
hurt.
not in position against this. He did not see it coming. Bomber using the base of SaSe against himself.
And at the same time, Bomber is running into that 3rd base as well. He's picking up the Nexus, and he's gonna get out of there with some of these Medivacks, at least most of those units. And at the same time, this drop is still active in the main base as well. Bomber is looking like a man on fire over here on Frost. For a second, it looked like there was a little bit of hope left for SaSe, but it seems like Bomber has crushed that hope into pieces.
He's gonna pick up and evacuate after sniping the Nexus, the Robo, and all that. SaSe's got a very few Blink Stalkers inside of his base, in his army in general here. Yeah. That's why he's having such a hard time dealing with these Medivac drops. And even the Vikings, it's going to be the same story. He has nothing to really snipe them.
Yep, even the first fight, Johan, that important fight with all those Colossi, I was surprised. SaSe only had 4 Stalkers, and then he even blinked forward, so he lost 2 of them immediately. And from that point on, it just looked like, okay, these Vikings are never going to die. And that was kind of what he needed, because in that moment he didn't have Storm yet. Now there are Ghosts and Vikings out on the map. Protoss player's worst nightmare.
Yeah, and it looks like Bomber
Oh my
wants to
God.
go for another drop in the natural and a big attack at the front. SaSe, he has a pretty scary army. He's not out of it just yet. The problem for him is that he has 1 Colossus. He has just a single 1 Colossus. He has a whole bunch of Archons which are going to get EMP'd.
Oh,
Everywhere in the natural.
Templar Archives is going to fall, and this Forge is going to fall as well, so no +2 for SaSe. Here come all those Ghosts. They could EMP the hell out of these Archons, and that's sort of what they do. Lands on top of the sentries as well. Didn't really EMP the High Templars though, but I think those EMPs were good enough.
And the Templars getting sniped as they're getting in range. 2 Storm, not a single Storm went down. Finally the first one does go down, but it goes down on the Vikings and there's no Colossus left. Bomber does not care, he's gonna press forward, double the supply now. And GG gets gold. Bomber, very impressive 2 games here in the opening match of this Wearer.com Invitational.
Yes, he looked